I don't agree with sleep training babies. I think it's mean.
I think that's offensive.
I know. And I know that I have friends who've done it and they sleep, the parents sleep, the babies sleep, everyone's meant to be happier. But I just think there's something telling me that it's wrong.
What if the something telling you it's wrong is the codependent relationship you have with your kids?
It absolutely could be that. But it's just also my conscience. Like I don't want to, I didn't want to live with that idea that I had left them when they needed me.
I think the idea of sleep training is that you're helping them learn to need you less. And that's good for you and for them.
I don't think there's such a problem with your baby needing you and your toddler needing you until they're 5.
That's not how it works. It's like some people need to be needed and some people feel crazed when they're needed. And if you lean in too far to the being needed, then by the time they're an adult, they still need you. And that's like fun for you because now you're like 60 and you're lonely, but it's bad for them because they're like 30 and they're fucked and they can't function without mommy.
But could there be a version of this where they sleep with you, they co-sleep, they have all the love that they need from you, they don't feel like they're longing for any extra time with you, hugs with you. They know that you're constantly available to them. They feel completely secure. And then they still go on to have a healthy adult life where they have good boundaries and they are independent. I'm sure that is a possibility.
No, there's no way that can happen.
I don't think you're right there. I think that people who co-sleep, babies who co-sleep, feel just this abundance of love and security. I don't think that they're necessarily going to grow up to be codependent adults. And also the trauma involved of that cry and listening to your baby cry, it's made me so stressed that it was unbearable. And why destroy that time, that precious time that's so finite when they're just born and when they're a baby and when they're a toddler? Why waste that time feeling that anxiety and why rush through it to get them sleeping through? Why? I don't understand why everyone's in such a rush for these babies to be independent.
I sleep trained my son because there was just no point where he was ever sleeping. And so we got into the situation where it was like, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I wanted to like hire someone who could tell me this will damage your child, this will not damage your child. And her thing was, she showed me this little graph. And as she's doing this, my son is like in his cot and he's crying. And I'm like, you know, I'm feeling that way. And she's like, okay, just listen. Try to relax. I'm here. This is what I do for a living. I've shown you this little graph. Between 1 and 8, where do you think he's at? 8 is a baby who thinks its parent is gone forever. 1 is barely a cry. Where is he? I'm like, he's at 3. She's like, that's exactly right. That's exactly where he is. And I'll leave a baby at 3 for 2 hours. I don't care because they're not upset. They're like lightly annoyed. And it's this idea that you're teaching them to self-settle. Mm. They need to know how to help themselves. You can teach a 6-month-old baby to learn to help itself.
Definitely. But you probably could afford sleep training and I couldn't.
You were in the Harry Potter films.
That does not mean anything.
I was a waitress.
So was I.
You could afford a sleep trainer.
I could not.
If you can't afford a sleep trainer, you shouldn't be having kids.
I know, but I wanted to. So sorry. I really like having kids.
How old were your kids when they got out of your bed?
They're still in the bed. The youngest is 4. I mean, technically, we co-slept until my oldest was 10, but that wasn't co-sleeping in the same bed. That was just like in the same room because we didn't have another bedroom. But right now we've got a house, the 4 and the 5-year-olds, yeah, they're still co-sleeping. And I have to pretend that I'm asleep until they're asleep and then creep out the room and then go into my bed and then wait till about 2 a.m. where they appear at the door and they're like, "We love you, mommy." And they're holding hands and they slowly inch towards the bed until they get into the bed. I'm asleep. I don't realize they're there. They get into the bed. Then I realize they're there at about 4 a.m., scream every night, and then go and sleep in their bed until they find me in their bed again. And then we wake up at 7 and we have a great day.
You know why you're allowing this?
Why?
For that "we love you, mommy" moment. That's the whole point. You're getting "we love you, mommy" out of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good for you. But this is what all mothers are doing. They're just doing what's good for them.
I'm doing what's good for me.
It's good for you to get "we love you, mommy," and it's good for me to have space.
Like, no one knows what the future brings.
And who knows which of our children will be psychopaths.
Exactly. You could do sleep training and do everything right and by the book and still have a completely horrible child.
And it's like, who knows which of them will be psychopaths or men who describe themselves as male feminists.
Yeah, true.
Tragedies both.
I feel like when the child is ready not to sleep with you, they don't. When they don't need you during the night, they don't need you anymore. And it does change in a second.
But what I'm saying is their needs are predicated on your needs. So when they're ready to not need you, I think is very linked into how much you're needing them.
Fair point. But in my situation, we didn't have space to not co-sleep. So we had to. And there were so many positives to that. So what's the big deal? If we had had space from day one, probably wouldn't have co-slept. But now that we've done it, I'm so glad we did because I had all that time with them. And I love that time with them. And I feel that they know if they need me, I'll be there in a second. And I don't think yours does. And that doesn't mean you're a bad mum. It just means that we are very different mothers. And that decision to sleep train or not sleep train is quite indicative, I think, of how you're going to parent. And you're right. I am going to be a codependent mother. I am going to want my kids to call me up and need me during the night until forever.
You think my son doesn't know that I'll be there for him now?
He'll know he'll have to cry for quite a long time before he'll need to get to number 8 before you go running.
He has to get to number 4.
Oh, number 4. Okay.
He has to get to number 4 and then I'll come. But up to number 4, buddy, you're going to figure this out on your own. You can do it.
Okay.
Self-reliance. Self-reliance and space for mama.
I like the drama of being needed. And I kind of like the fact that I can say that I'm selfless and that I'll run if they need me at any second and I don't need that space. I quite like the fact that I'm being selfless more than I like being selfless.
To tell you what a friend said to me recently,
what?
Not presented as a criticism. She went, "You know what is impressive about you?" She said. She went, "You're really good at getting your needs met."
That is good.
It's not a compliment, but it is true.
Well, yeah, it's like if somebody says you're confident, it's never a good thing. If they're saying you're confident, it's because they think you're too confident.
Yeah. You're very confident.
Yeah. She's so confident and ambitious.
Very ambitious. How old is too old for your kid to share your bed?
I don't think they're ever too old.
I'd say 7 months.
How many nights have you slept with your child? Like as a baby, say, like, did they sleep at all with you?
Oh, yeah. Every night. But I didn't sleep. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I would sleep from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. That was when my husband was on duty. And then that's when I would sleep for 3 hours from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then do the next day.
That's hard. Yeah, some people just can't sleep with another person in the bed. I'm now just so used to sleeping with like 2 kids in my armpit. Not moving. Just being as still as possible.
And you're sleeping?
Oh, no. I don't know when I last slept.
I thought they were out of the bed now and you were like,
no, they are
and
out of the
pumping
bed.
with your boyfriend.
No, they are out of the bed, but I'm doing the kind of going back and forth.
Oh, it's all the.
Yeah, and also because we're trying to get him out of nappies. So I'm still doing that training.
My mom friends who had kids who were problematic sleepers at 6 months. And we're like, it'll be fine. They're 6 months old. It'll be fine. These kids are 10 now. And they're not fine.
They still don't sleep, or
they still have sleeping problems. It's like if you get a kid, this is what I think about sleep stuff. If you get a kid who just happens to be a good sleeper, then fine. But if you have a kid who is showing signs of any kind of issue and you do not sort that out, the baby will become the toddler, who will become the kid, who becomes the teenager, who has problems with sleep. Mm-hmm. It doesn't just go away.
Yeah.
You got to get in there, man.
I just think it's amazing how if you breastfeed, you have the discipline to not just keep the baby in the bed. I always just thought those women were amazing. I was like, how do you do that? How do you get up and sit in a chair and breastfeed and then have the energy to go and put the baby back in a cot? That's amazing. Did you do that?
No, it was just like on my tit through the night. And then eventually my husband would get him and then I'd sleep for 3 hours.
Oh, okay. Until you sleep trained. Because you breastfed for ages.
Yes, I did. But then even like, I'm trying to remember now.
Did you night feed?
Oh my God, I can't remember. I'm just thinking, what would happen? I'm trying to think of what it was. Like, I remember by the time he was like a year. Were you just looking at my tits? You did. You just looked at them. What were you thinking about them? Were you thinking how small they were? Do you think I should get my titties done?
I was thinking I should give her that t-shirt. She looks really nice in it. And then I was checking how your boobs looked in the t-shirt, because then I was going to think, would you want to keep? And I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I do want the t-shirt. I borrowed it once and then I wore it on stage. I liked it so much.
Yeah, you can have it.
Thank you.